It is a bright Thursday afternoon that we are experiencing here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast with the AEW Dynamite review. Yes, here we are to talk about last night's Dynamite, which is the May 22nd edition, 2024 of AEW Dynamite. I'm, of course, Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is what we typically do on Thursdays. I'm glad to be back in the saddle once again. You can't keep a good review down. You can't. I'm saying this because I had to skip the podcast this week for reasons. But I'm back. You can't. We're right into it. Diving right into this edition of Dynamite from the Mechanics Bank Arena in Bakersfield, California. First time showing up there. A show that was, good, but see, we're all seeing that one coming, but falls intrinsically into the theme that I've had on my Dynamite reviews for the past couple of weeks, which is kind of like, all right, sure, but I think I'm reaching a conclusion here. Whereas the past couple of weeks, like 3 weeks ago, it was very poor Dynamite. 2 weeks ago, it was, a good Dynamite, but I was questioning, where are all the great Dynamites, right? And then last week I thought was, it was good, not great. People were celebrating this like, 10 out of 10, where I thought I was like, a complete disagreement. Where I'm like, it was a good little show, but again, where's the thing that made Dynamite? Where's the thing that makes it special? And I'm back to this week. I'm still on this same vibe, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening because I again feel like we're away from what makes Dynamite special, and stuff that happened on the show. We're gonna talk about it. And I'm sure there's some stuff you already expect me to be very frosty on, but again, there was stuff that I really liked. This was extremely successful. But I gotta tell you, I don't know. I really don't know what the issue is with how Dynamites are put together these days. Because right now, I'm watching them and it just feels like sports entertainment light, And I think when I said I think I'm coming to a conclusion about this, I touched on it a couple of weeks ago, and I think I'm right. And I think I've reached this thought process, this conclusion to this thought process pretty clearly here. I think that wrestling fans don't want different. I think North American wrestling fans do not care for different. Or at least, they don't want. Let's try this again. They don't want things that are too different. We have been watching wrestling being presented, okay? I'm not talking about the matches. I'm not talking about, the angles and what. I'm talking in the way it's presented. It's been presented to us in the same format for 30 years. Basically since Nitro, I'd say. It's the formula that has stuck, and I'm not saying I have the solution, but no one has ever come forward to present wrestling in a different way. And And to a degree, I understand why people do that because, it's so embedded into us now. After 2 decades of one company doing it one same way every week for the same, every week, 52 weeks a year for 20 odd years, people are like, no, this is how you do a wrestling show. So when you try to do something different, it backfires. Then you have, people complaining. You have the bad faithers going all in on it. You know how this works. We've talked about it multiple times here on this review show. So there's no room for true experimentation, truly trying to bring a different product. Now this is odd because I would argue that when AEW started, and when AEW started, but particularly, after the January of its first year, right, which would be 2020, right? After that, I thought Dynamite was exactly that. I thought it was absolutely Dynamite. I thought it was tremendous. We were getting something that was presented in a package that we understood, that we were familiar with, but felt different, okay? You see where I'm going with this? So the package may be the same as what North American wrestling has been for decades at this point. But the content, the meat and potatoes within the plate is the same plate you've been eating out of for 20 years, but the meat and potatoes was something else. It wasn't the same meat and potatoes. Maybe it was a different cut of beef. Maybe it was Angus, but no, Angus sucks for that word. Wagyu beef. Maybe you had a little Parmesan into your mashed potatoes. The point being is that, you got something different. Even though it was familiar, you got something different. And now it's like, it's sports entertainment light. It's things that that have turned me off of the other company that are entering AEW, and I'm at a point where all I can do is shrug. All I can do is shrug and go, well, I guess this is what wrestling fans want, right? I guess this is what the viewing audience want. Clearly, I have no barometer other than, data and numbers and attendance and ratings, but, because you can argue that audience woes really started to kick in spring of 2023. And it's odd that we're in spring 2024, we're a year removed, and we're still struggling, it seems, to give AEW an identity, which it didn't struggle to have at first. It's a company that has lost its way in regards to what it was at first. Now it's something else. I'm not saying that maybe lost its ways is harsh. That has changed its ways. And this is a company that after, the disastrous 2023 that they have, the back half of it, right, from June moving on, let's say, they admittedly reached out to the audience and said, hey, we're going to give you what you want, restore the feeling and whatnot. And a lot of us said, as Tony told us, but a lot of us said to Tony as well, put your money where your mouth is. And guess what? Tony did. Continental Classic was tremendous. And I would say right up to Revolution this year, the feeling was there. And now, I know. I think I don't know where the feeling is. It's not it. For the past month or so, I'm sitting down on Wednesday nights to watch Dynamite, where before I would be rubbing my hands together, where I'd be getting all the drinks and emptying my bladder because I'm like, hey, I got to stick around during picture-in-picture. So, I can't be getting up willy-nilly to go, drain the lizard. I got to stick around. Can't miss a minute of this, where I used to be like that, and not all that long ago. Now I'm like, I could be watching CMLL right now. I could be catching up with Best of Super Juniors. I could be playing Dave the Diver on my Steam Deck. These are all thoughts that legitimately have gone through my mind. That was not a bit. Dave the Diver, great game. I don't know how to parse this other than how I'm doing it right now, which I feel I'm doing a pretty good job at explaining how I'm feeling. Like, again, because look, again, last night's show was a good show. It was a show where I was like, good stuff. I got some good stuff. I got some less good stuff. But overall, I thought, not a bad little go-home show. Lots of action, stuff happening. It's like, but the vibe is off. There's something happening. There's something, floating around where I'm like, why does this ship, which contains the best professional wrestling roster on planet Earth right now, why am I struggling to get into it? Why is it not on a weekly basis making me feel good about being a pro wrestling fan again? That's a bit. But why is it not making me feel the excitement that I had watching Dynamite a while ago? And, is it because, Kenny's not around, because Hangman's not around, because Max is not around, because Britt is not around, because Jamie's not around? No, because there's exceptional talent on TV right now, as well as the exceptional talent that has been missing from TV. Okada and Ospreay and Tony Storm. And we still have Danielson. We still have Mox. But there's stuff happening where I'm like, Swerve's elevation. Why aren't we more excited about Swerve Strickland being a world champion? Make sure you get me right here. I think it's great that he's a world champion. And I think it's deserved. I've been on record, said it multiple times. But why aren't we more excited about his championship run? Why isn't this the talk of the town? Why aren't we clawing at the idea of Swerve Strickland in top programs with top guys? We need guys in fuzzy jackets brandishing flamethrowers to get a rise out of people with this program now. We need, a gusher, a reverse, we need gushing blood, cascading from the rafters to get people talking about it. AEW used to be so good at little stories making things matter, everything making sense, connecting the dots. They used to be so fucking good at it. And I maintain, and I have audio talking about this in the past, and I maintain it to this day, that people in AEW started listening to the worst people on Twitter, the where's the stories people, when AEW has always had stories. AEW not having stories is a perpetual, unverified lie. But people in the company started listening to this and started adjusting things without realizing that the people who were saying this shit were not fans, were haters, weren't watching the program in the first place, and would not start watching the program even if they got all the stories everywhere all the time, because they don't like the promotion, and all they'll do is move the goalposts. They'll find something else to complain about. If AEW has enough stories, they'll bitch about something else. They'll bitch about not enough action. They'll bitch about, not pushing the right people. They'll bitch about the lighting being off or whatever the fuck. They'll find other reasons to complain. The people I feel AEW is trying to corral are people who will never be a part of the experience, that don't want to be a part of the experience is what I'm saying. That don't care, that are entrenched in their minds for multiple reasons, either because they irrationally hate someone working there, or, AEW didn't give them a job and now they're bitter. Whatever reasons. That's where AEW started going askew, trying to please people online. And what happened in the meantime? They started dropping fans. They started losing the people who were there from the start. And now are having a hell of a time to try to bring all these people back. They're having a hell of a time trying to bring these people back. The ratings are one thing. And I know, look, again, I'm not the ratings expert. I just know that these days the ratings are low, but the NBA, NHL playoffs are doing big numbers everywhere. So what are you going to do? Everyone's suffering. Everyone is suffering. But the attendance, 2,303 tickets in Bakersfield, California. I thought my hometown of Quebec City, when AEW came here a couple of months ago in March, I thought they were going to do dismal. These are the numbers I thought they were going to do here, because AEW practically doesn't have any coverage. It's, we're a tough crowd to crack when you're coming in with your English speaking stuff and there's no French equivalent. Like, there's a bunch, but we did better attendance than this. Oh, these guys were louder, but don't get me wrong. 2,303 tickets. Is this good? No. It's in the same trend. Double or Nothing's not doing great either. Planning on maybe taking it out of Vegas next year. The live attendance numbers are not good. You can't sugarcoat it. You can't put it multiple ways. The live attendance numbers are not good. They're not good overall, and even this for AEW's numbers is not good. 2,303. 2,300 tickets distributed. Again, we don't know how many comps. We don't know how much this was papered. But this is not good. And I don't care about the local marketing teams need to work harder, I guess, sure. But the product doesn't feel hot. It doesn't come across as hot. It doesn't come across as no. It's coming across when I saw last night's show, I was like, there are things there where I'm like, this is WWE Junior, and no one wants to watch the knockoff. You don't want the knockoff, you want the original. I don't know what we're trying to do. I don't, when I say we, I mean them. I don't know what AEW is trying to do, quite frankly. I'm in this spot, and I think the more things are going forward, this is what I have to come to grips with as a wrestling fan, is that we will never get a true to form, a true alternative to WWE. We're going to get sidebar WWE. We're going to get, I don't want to say WWE Junior but we're going to get WWE-ish things. That's just how it's going to go for North American pro wrestling. I have to come to grips with this. And I guess this is what Tony Khan means when he says we're a challenger brand like Pepsi. The tastes of Coke and Pepsi aren't all that far off. They're different, but it's still cola. And they're not that different. Like, you're not drinking, when you drink a Pepsi as opposed to a Coke, you can tell it's not Coke, but it's still fucking cola. It's this, we're not that far off. I think that's what he means. I don't think it's like, well, they're making Coca-Cola, we're making Orange Crush. I'd be like, oh, I get it. Because it's not Orange Crush. I would even say it's Diet Coke. What he's doing right now. So again, like, I'm complaining about the state of things. When I'm going to do a review where I know there's going to be a lot of things on the show where I'm going to be like, this was great. This is very good. Is this a great show? No. It's a nice, good little go-home show, but it's not a tremendous accomplishment. And quite frankly, I'm a little bummed. I'm a little bummed. But again, like I said, I'm going to finish this review. I'm going to say, pretty good show, go-home show. We're going heading into Double or Nothing. Here's another thought that came into my mind when I was talking about the thoughts I had earlier. Remember when I said, I could be watching CMLL, I could be catching up with Best Super Juniors, I could be playing Dave the Diver. Here's another thought that came into my mind as I was watching that show last night. Maybe I should just watch the pay-per-views. Pay-per-views are tremendous. The pay-per-views are exactly where takeovers were back in the good black and gold era. We all know the one we're talking about. Where it's like, you come into TakeOver, you'd watch a TakeOver, it'd be a tremendous show, and everyone would be raving about it. And, we'd all be making fun of how main roster pay-per-views are not as good. That would be systematic. It's the same thing with AEW pay-per-views. All other pay-per-views are great. Most. And I mean a vast majority. I would say 95%. The misses when it comes to AEW pay-per-views are far more insignificant to the hits. And not only do you have great pay-per-views, but you have all-time great pay-per-views in this breadbasket. So maybe I should just be watching the papes. Never mind the weekly stuff. Maybe I should go full WWE and do exactly that, like I do with WWE. I don't watch the weekly shit. Don't have time for that kind of aggravation. Just watch their big shows. Maybe I should do that too. I won't. But anyway, you get what I mean. I should get to the review. 25 minutes. Me yapping about my feelings. You know what we say about feelings? Fuck your feelings. Fuck your feelings, Warren. So this show opened up with a Furiosa themed intro where they mixed in scenes of Furiosa, a Mad Max adventure. What do they call it? A Mad Max experience, a Mad Max chronicle, a Mad Max movie. There's a little tagline that says, so because that movie's coming out this weekend. Look, if you had told, here's a little sidebar. If you had told 1998 Warren Hayes, you go back in time and you bump into him and you say, hey, in the year 2024, you're going to be excited for Mad Max movies. 1998 Warren Hayes would have been like, come on. We don't need another hero, etc., etc. Thunderdome. I'm fine. I'm good. But here I am in 2024, and I love the Mad Max film, and this is like, I'm really excited to see this one too. And I also think it's wild that they release, movies in the desert where everything looks and feels like disgustingly hot, and they're dropping that right in the middle of summer. Anyway, Roderick Strong and Trent Beretta defeated Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay. I thought this was a pretty good match. There's this really fun moment where Orange Cassidy climbs the ropes, and then immediately Will Ospreay climbs up as well, and they're both on the top. And then Will Ospreay does a sky twister off, and then Orange Cassidy lands an elbow drop, but one of those lazy elbow drops. It's tremendous stuff. That was a lot of. I thought this was a fun match. It was good. Orange Cassidy, Don Callis was saying that Orange Cassidy is a member of the Don Callis family. I'm not sure I think he's a little delusional on that one. Callis, keeps Orange Cassidy from being lifted by Roderick Strong at some point. Will Ospreay, the finish comes when Will Ospreay dives onto the Kingdom on the floor, then gets railroaded by Wardlow running out from the back. People are excited he has his hair back. I couldn't care less. And a hard egg by Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy back in the ring for the win. After the match, the heels just beat down the hell out of the baby faces. Will Ospreay even got busted open on that one. The heels stand tall at the end. So, if your pay-per-view logic, if you want to apply pay-per-view go-home show logic to the pay-per-view results, then there's a fair chance that the baby faces are winning their matches. I mean, Will is winning the title, right? I want to call it the international title. He's winning that, right? He has to. Then we go backstage. The Young Bucks are handing out are handing out pictures of Darby Allin, saying that he is banned from the arena. I don't know how many times I've seen this. Just again, something we've seen multiple times in pro wrestling. And I'm not going to harp on it. I've harped on it all, but this is an example right here. Something that we've seen multiple times. AEW is using, and they're like, okay. Then Sanjay Dutt arrives to thank them for putting Satnam Singh in that spot. Basically saying, the idea basically is that he, whether he wins or loses or hurts Danielson, Sanjay just wants his envelope full of cash, which he'll get. So they're establishing that Sanjay and the dudes have been bought off here by the elite to do some dirty work. The Bullet Club Gold trio come out. They have a little wagon to put all their gold in as well. Jay White calls out Pac. Tries to remember how to pronounce it. Is it Pac? Pac appears on the Tonytron. and says, that sure, you 3-on-1, that's not very fair, so I'll bring the band back together or something, talking about his hermanos. And the lights go out in the arena and we get the full Death Triangle entrance, which honestly is really cool. Like on TV, I think it's cool. You have Penta in the middle, then the camera runs over to Phoenix, and then the camera goes over to Pac. I think it's a great entrance. And honestly, Death Triangle back together. You could do worse. So we're getting that. Of course, Bullet Club hit the bricks, but we're getting that at the pay-per-view this weekend, and that actually kind of rules. Again, I have no issues with the pay-per-views. Then we get the FTW title eliminator 3-way match where Hook and Katsuyori Shibata both defeat Bryan Keith to move on and be the contenders for Jericho's FTW title this weekend. Look, I'm not going to go... Here are my overall thoughts. I thought the crowd was oddly silent for this one. I thought the match was fine, but I kind of wish we had Bryan Keith and Shibata in a one-on-one situation. I think that's something I'd like to see. But the finish was impeccably dumb. Impeccably dumb. And reeks of the other company. This is something that the other company would have done. This is like, having your King of the Ring finals be a 3-way match. Like they did a couple of years ago. Maybe not the finals, but the quarterfinals, the semifinal, whatever. In a knockout single elimination. Because the finish is, well, you've seen it, but for the record, the finish is Katsuyori Shibata has Bryan Keith in a sharpshooter, figure 4, excuse me, and the Tasmission is applied by Hook at the same time. What does Bryan Keith does? He taps on both guys. He's tapping on both. So what does Rick Knox, paragon of, impeccable officiating? What does he do? He raises the hands of both guys. Both guys win. So how we get a 3-way match and 2 guys win. I got nothing on this. I got nothing for you. This is dumb. And you see what I mean? This is dumb. I'm not going to reiterate all my points, but they fit perfectly into this. This is dumb. Are we afraid that Hook and Chris Jericho are going to stink it up like they did at, what was that, Revolution, right? Which a lot of people thought it stunk. I didn't think it was a great match. I didn't think it was a particularly good match, but I think people were severely unfair with it. So are they afraid that this is going to happen again and they're going to throw in Shibata in there to look? Or who fucking cares? This stinks. Like, this is a bad decision. We get a video package for Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné coming up, and they actually showed some footage from the Strong Women's Title Tournament, which was pretty good. And I mean, that was it. Then, no Monet, no Willow. You're just like, okay. Back then with another commercial for another spot for the Young Bucks custom Reebok pumps, and now they have Kazuchika Okada doing the Hiroshi Tanahashi gleam in his teeth. They gave it to him now, as he smiles. I wonder if they called Tanahashi to ask for permission. I'm sure Taz was on top of that. Konosuke Takeshita squashed Matt Sydal. That was fine. Post-match, get Takeshita hitting a German on Sydal. Continues to beat him up. Jon Moxley arrives. Grabs a mic. Gets into the ring. Looks like he's going to talk. Instead, bops Konosuke on the head with the microphone. Commentary puts over that the microphones are lethal. Just asked Chris Jericho last week, who did bleed after getting bonked on the head with it. Look, if they want to create this thing where AEW microphones are the most lethal microphones in the business, well, let's go. See, that'd be different. So he says, I'll see you at Double or Nothing. They're having a non-title match for the IWGP title. Young Bucks are backstage, still handing out their pictures of Darby, their flyers. Strickland is in gorilla position. What's up, turds, he says. They hand him a flyer. He sticks his gum in it and he says, can you guys just hit my music so I can go have my match? The evil, nasty authority figures. Honestly, I'm disappointed that they are going down this route. I remember weeks ago when the evil authority figures popped up, when they attacked Tony Khan and all that stuff, right? Which I still think is a great angle. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people were very weary at the idea that, are we getting an authority angle? Are we getting, the heel authority figures that are going to, do heel things to the baby faces and put heels in matches? And I was like, look, I want to take a wait and see approach on this. Oh, I really do. And I remember saying, I expect the Jacksons to be have a little more ear to the ground and listen to what the fans want, kind of thing, or at least try something different and creative, right? Because that's the Jacksons. Nope. Turns out I was wrong. Turns out well, not that I was wrong, but I was expecting that to happen, and I guess it would make me wrong if they didn't do it. Okay, so I was wrong, and I shouldn't have put the let it play out stamp on it. I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in how this is. I've seen this angle before. I've seen this shit before. Like, if the Young Bucks were just being dicks in an NWO style thing, it's fine. But they're calling shots. Changing the production, the entrance to Dynamite. I was going to say Nitro, but the entrance to Dynamite, and they're putting heels in main events. And whereas the angle for Anarchy in the Arena, in and about itself, is tremendous. They have spent the build to this show trying to injure out members of the team, like they did. Eddie Kingston, legitimately injured. He's going to be out for a year. It's terrible, right? But nonetheless, that's what the plan was. The fact that they quote unquote took Eddie out in story added to this. Then they tried to take Danielson out. FTR's hurt. Like, this has been just that angle is perfect. And builds to to Anarchy without issue. It's good. It's a good angle. All the rest with making main event matches for the pay-per-view and all this bullshit, and that's what it is. It ends up being bullshit. And I still think the Bucks are doing a good job. I love their heel personas. I will always prefer the heel Bucks over the babyface Bucks. But this, it's not good. The thing with Kenny taking out, injuring out all these people. That's good. That's what an evil heel faction should do. We got a big match coming up. We're taking out all the opposition. We're going to try and soften them up. This shit here, handing out flyers, I've been there, done that. Christ. Swerve Strickland defeated Nick Wayne. And not to retain the title. This was not for the title. Not to eliminate Nick from contention in an eliminator match. This was not an eliminator match. So what is it? I'm going to be honest. I have never been on board these World Championship eliminator matches. They remind me of when the other guys used to do it, where they'd set up a match and then Michael Cole would say in the microphone, they'd set up a title match, they'd set up a match with a title holder and someone else. And Michael Cole would say, if so-and-so defeats the champion tonight, they'll have a shot at the title. And we all thought it was dumb. That was back when I was doing stuff for Fightful. You can go back and check that out if you really wanted to, but why don't? I mean, you could. It's good stuff. I'm not poo-pooing on it. I'm just like, why would you go back and listen to reviews of, WWE Raw from 5 years ago? Why would you do that? I don't know. Maybe you're into that kind of stuff. I don't know. Look, I'm not judging. Go do it if you want to. It's good audio, regardless. It was good times over at Fightful. Trust me. But but the point being here is that they're just doing willy-nilly eliminator matches. Oh no, this is a non-title. What's the fucking difference? Who cares? And because the eliminator matches, here's the thing. I think Konosuke Takeshita is one of the most semi-credible wrestlers to ever get an eliminator title shot, right? Like, he's not, but we know he's still not winning. Otherwise, every wrestler who has ever had an eliminator match, in my memory anyway, there's not one that's sticking out. Not one has been like, this person has an opportunity, has a chance to win, right? If you've got two big enough people in the ring, they're just doing a title match. When's the last time, MJF had an eliminator match? Or Kenny Omega? Or, Samoa Joe? John Moxley? Danielson? Page, Hangman Page. The people who always end up in the eliminator matches are people who are like, oh, there's no conceivable way. They're not doing this. They're not going to do that. Maybe Ricky Starks wasn't that the thing? Is that Ricky Starks won his? I think that's the only time where you're like, holy shit, right? Was it an eliminator match that he won? I can't quite, or was it one of the gimmick battle royals or whatever the fuck? Anyway, look, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't like them because I think that it's lazy, it's weird. Most of the time it telegraphs the finish, and it's 99.9% of the time is what I'm saying. And it's just dumb. Because now, look, Strickland's in the ring here and it's non-title. So who the fuck cares? And an eliminator match on a pay-per-view, I don't know. Why are we doing this? I know why we're doing this, because Tony wants Mox on the show and he doesn't want to put, and probably Gato's like, no, you're not putting up my title for on the line, especially against the DDT guy. We're not doing this, Anyway, match was fine, short little match, but the post-match angle, that fucking ruled. That was great. It was great. Killswitch attacks Strickland after the match. Christian Cage pops in with Madame Wayne, and they go to check on on Nick. Strickland gets back up on his feet, takes out Kill Switch, and Christian Cage hits the bricks, and they have the cameras following him backstage. Now, the cameras are actually following backstage. They're not like set up. This is what I mean by be different. It doesn't take much when I want to see things that I don't see on the other show. The cameras are actually trying to keep up with Cage. They're trying to keep up with Strickland. They're not like set, set in a specific position and waiting for someone to arrive in the angle. No, it's like you can feel, the cameramen are scrambling, they're getting their shit together, they're being called live. Guys, you gotta catch it. Like, it felt organic. It felt fun to watch. Where I felt like this was all where there's a nervousness to it. You're like, oh shit. This ruled. Christian tries to carjack again, but this time he presses on the gas, but as he tries to escape the parking lot, there's a car that pulls up and Prince Nana is in there blocking him. Nana just takes a sip of coffee and it blocks his path. He can't go forward. So what does Strickland do? He comes over and he tries to get him out of the car, and they fight on top of the car. Christian gets DDT'd on the car. Nana has a chair, they want to concerto him on the car, but Christian takes a powder and he's good this time. So Prince Nana, clearly still on Swerve's side. Mogul Embassy is absolutely dead. The embassy, the Mogul affiliates, it's all dead. And a good little surprise back. That was fun. And I thought added to the pay-per-view, to the build. Swerve, here's the tricky thing with Swerve that I hope they rectify with his next program. I mean, it's heading into Forbidden Door season, so he's going to be overshadowed by all the New Japan bullshit, right? But whatever program they head him towards, I can only hope that they remember that Swerve works when he can be a manipulator, when he can when he's one step ahead of everyone. Like, I know that's also Christian's thing, but that's also Swerve's thing. And you can do it in a way like we saw last night, where he doesn't lose babyface heat, where you're there scratching your chin going, well, is he the heel or the babyface? I'm not, because this all worked. This was very good. Yeah, those are my notes, right? Those were very good. There's also this great spot in the match where Nick Wayne moonsaults off the apron and Strickland catches him on his shoulder, but then Wayne reverses into a DDT on the floor. It was great stuff. I thought it was great. Malakai Black defeated Kyle O'Reilly. This is the Malakai Black I want to see. I love this match. This is my match of the night. I thought this was the best. Look, you want to put two guys in there who have similar fighting backgrounds and are just going to throw strikes at each other. They're going to kick each other. They're going to pummel each other. This rules. This is the Malakai Black I like. This is the thing that, even when he was Aleister Black, before he got too overwhelmed by the spooky storytelling, just get in there and he'd throw bombs at people, and it's just like, yeah, just fucking kill these people. I think it's great. He's a tremendous striker. That was fun. Kyle O'Reilly, tremendous striker on top of that as well. They meshed really well. I really liked this match. Strategic, cutting match. going for submissions. Big brain so when Black pulls out the brain buster, you're like, holy shit, right? And he fakes out a black mass, but then hits it on the reverse. Just a tremendous finish. Now, what is less? Is a fucking brood bloodbath. Look, I thought they were cringe when WWE did them with Edge a couple of years ago. I think they're cringe right now. I don't know, because they did the blinking lights and I was sitting in my chair, my sofa. I was sitting on my sofa and I was thinking, and I saw the blinking lights and I was like, they're not going to do the blood thing, are they? And they did the blood thing. See what I mean? Did people go, yay, Edge? It's like the old, like this is a low point. And here I am, week after week. This is a low point. I'm trying to say too many things at once. This is a low point of Adam Copeland's AEW run. Because this is a guy who has gained so many new people, new followers, new fans, doing this tremendous stuff, adapting to AEW, leaving, the sports entertainment stuff behind, let it, and moving forward, doing something new. And now he drags us back into things that he wasn't even really the bloodbath thing was the Brood, and the Brood was Gangrel and him and Christian. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's not even like his thing. WWE co-opted that for Edge later, much later. And then it's suddenly, he's the Brood guy, but no, he wasn't. Anyway. Don't forget the Brood was the Hardy Boys at first. It's like, it's all like, it's stuff I didn't like when they brought it back, and it's stuff I don't like here. And I don't like it particularly because this blemishes Adam Copeland's record in AEW, his overall vibe, I guess, where he has been tremendous. And now I'm like, come on, man. Like, honestly, you look at that and you're like, you're better than this. You're better than this. I mean, it's a hell of a bloodbath. That the gush, looked painful. And Malakai, it's covered, soaked. Like they didn't want to fuck this up. Almost did. Malakai sort of had to take a half step back to get to get showered. He was oddly off the mark. I don't know why we still do this regardless. Again, do different things. I've seen this. But again, people seem to. I got a chuckle out of it. Don't get me wrong. I did memes. It's fine. But I'm not sitting here saying, this is tremendous. I'm like, no. Like, this is again, is proof that, I don't know. Bryan Dennison cuts a promo. That leads us to Mariah May and Toni Storm defeating the Outcasts. A fine little match where the highlights included double sunset power bombs by the Outcasts and kissing. What is with all the kissing? I don't particularly have an issue with it, but sometimes, like, why was there all the kissing in the ring last night? Last night felt a little gratuitous. I don't know, like, it felt a little gratuitous. Is everyone backstage excited that we can have women kissing on TV and no, when Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa do it, well, we get it. We understand the thing. And, now Tony's becoming a lot more kissy with Mariah as well. And again, I get it. But, you do too much of a thing and it gets stale on one hand. And on the other hand, it's like, make it make sense. But again, AEW is not too concerned about making things make sense these days. After the match, Serena Deeb hits the ring. She's got a chair. She takes out Luther. She uses the shoe to take out Toni Storm. And she takes a chair, sits down on the chair, and puts a half crab onto Toni Storm. I appreciate Serena Deeb making sure that she's comfortable, taking the time to have a nice, comfortable seat for her half crab post-match beatdown. But these sure were some heel behaviors she was exhibiting here. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been telling you all, this babyface Serena Deeb stinks and it doesn't work and it doesn't play to her strengths. What are we doing? I was like, make her a heel. Because Toni Storm has been doing stuff and she's been getting cheered. She, steals the flag and does a striptease on Collision, and what, you gonna boo that? Like, why would you boo that? So if they're deciding to double turn here, no one is going to cheer for Serena Deeb. She's not that good a babyface, and Toni Storm, I think a lot of people are warming back up to her, and I think that a babyface role for her is making sense. And she was acting much more like a babyface than the opposite. And they were fighting heels in the Outcasts tonight, so I think I think they decided to flip the script here, and I think it's the best path for the match. Serena Deeb the heel and Toni Storm the babyface. I don't know how this is going to turn out this weekend. I really don't. The Bullet Club Gold pop up on TV again and accept Death Triangle's challenge. But they have to win a title match at Collision. The Lucha Bros have to defeat the Ass Boys. Well, we know how that's going to happen. What's going to happen there. Excuse me. And that's probably going to be added to the 0 hour, I guess. Feels like a better match than a pre-show match. But then again. And then Bryan Danielson defeated Satnam Singh by disqualification. After the match, well, look, before we get into the after the match, the match was precisely what everyone thought it was, I would assume, or would be. Satnam just tossing Danielson around, and Danielson doing his best. Like, Danielson, I thought, had some pretty creative spots here, some moments, to try and take down the enormous Satnam Singh, who is fine as a big guy, I think he's fine. I'm not seeing anything groundbreaking here. I'm not, go back and watch Andre tapes from the 70s, early 80s, before WrestleMania 3, right? Essentially. Go watch that, we may never get another big attraction guy like Andre. We might never get another 7-footer, an attraction wrestler who was as good as Andre in the ring. Because Andre was a good wrestler. That's the thing. Satnam Singh, he's huge. He's impressive. Is he a good wrestler? I think he's passable. He's fine. Fine for a big man, good for a big man, but then you think about Andre. You compare him to, the great Khali. Huge sack of turnips, Sure, you compare Satnam to Khali, but Khali was not one of the better big men in pro wrestling history. He really isn't. Anyway, we're going off track here. The match was fine. Danielson was on his back at some point, on Satnam's back, climbed up on his back and was doing the hammer and anvils to get him down to his knees. And he even locked in the label lock, which was pretty fun. Put a lot of struggle into it. I enjoyed it. Danielson's great at all this shit. Like, Danielson's tremendous. But Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal force a DQ. After the match, Jarrett has El Kabong. Danielson ducks it. He takes out both Lethal and Jarrett with Busaiku knees. Danielson then has the guitar, but Singh punches through it, which I thought was a really cool visual. Then Danielson gets beat down. The Bucks show up. They give Sanjay Dutt his envelope, and then Danielson ducks out of the EVP trigger, so he gets the upper hand. Coin drop. Kazuchika Okada's music hits, but as Danielson is waiting for him, he gets blindsided by Jack Perry, who was in the audience, and then Okada comes out with tremendous shit-eating grin, and he rainmakers Danielson. Darby Allin finally arrives at the arena. He comes in pretty much unabated. Despite the fact that we had all this security, with Darby's picture, he just walked in. Of course, he had a flamethrower, but he just walked in. No resistance, nothing. So the story in itself didn't even make sense. The application of it. Tony Khan was driving him to work. Tony Khan was there. And he had a flamethrower. Matt Jackson gets thrown through a table off the stage while Darby is there trying to turn off his flamethrower. He can't. You want to bet that that's Darby Allin's flamethrower? Because Darby Allin probably owns a flamethrower. Don't you? Maybe even two. And he brought his low-grade one to work. You want to bet? I'm willing to bet 10 Canadian rubber bucks on it. Fun little angle to end it up, and some fun visuals with Darby and the flamethrower, which is like, that's nuts. At least he didn't try to light up his name on the stage. But that's your go home. That's your go home. Oh, and throughout all this beating, right? Here's the thing. This is what I mean when I say AEW used to be better at this, but now they clearly don't care as much anyway. Where was John Moxley? Like, Danielson and Moxley are pals, and they had each other's backs over the past couple of weeks too in their matches. Why didn't Mox run out to save Danielson here? Where was he? And usually we'll have a little explanation. There'll be a little something that'll happen. The Don Callis family punks out Mox backstage. He's got to be taken away. Mox, or commentary will say Mox left the building. There'll be something to explain why something logical is not happening. Claudio's not here. No mention of none of that shit. None of that shit was mentioned. Very disappointing. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. I'm like, all right. I'm not going to piecemeal all of this together. I'm not going to start creating headcanon like, people online do to justify what's going on. Mox didn't show up. Why didn't he show up? I know the BCC don't always run in for the save, but Danielson was at some point, When Jarrett was and Lethal were beating them down, and the Bucks came in, that was a 6-on-1 situation. Nah, there's no way Jon Moxley is letting that go. 6-on-1, and then even once Jarrett and crew left, still the Elite. It's a 4-on-1. No way. Again, I understand because stories. You don't want to get them crossed too much, right? But then make it make sense as to why this guy's buddy didn't run in for the save. That was Dynamite. Again, I thought it was a pretty good go-home show. It's fine. It's entertaining. But the more this show moves on, the more I'm getting disenchanted. I'm like, okay, it's just stuff happening now. Less rhyme or reason and things that I just don't like out of North American pro wrestling are seeping into this alternative. And it seems like we were having this conversation last spring, and look at where it's spring, and look at where we are today. Bit of a downer to end the show, but hey, how's this for an upper? I'll be back next Tuesday for another edition of the Mr. Warren Show. We're going to be reviewing Double or Nothing, which is of course happening this weekend. So we're going to be reviewing that. We'll not be reviewing the Saudi show. My ongoing refusal to cover these shows is in full motion right now. So yeah, I'll be back Tuesday to chat about all of that. Join the Mr. Warren Hayes Discord. Join me on Blue Sky. It's nice to see ya, and we'll see you next time.